Trump to Hillary. That makes me smart. Monetary game is rigged against the rich too. This is a counterintuitive point that every single person reading this, every citizen needs to understand. This is worldwide because the tax code is very similar all around the world. And this is why this is so incredibly important. Please take a few minutes to go through this, because this mentality that we have that the rich are evil, this and other thing, couldn't be more ridiculous because the game is set up for everybody. And yes, there are things going on. There's the currency printing, which we talk about all the time here, the debasement, the inflation the government perpetrates on all people that is rigging of the game. But the game is rigged against everyone the same way. And this is what we're going to show you. And this is why Bitcoin is so important. So again, during the 2016 presidential campaign, there was an infamous moment during which a debate, Hillary Clinton was railing on and name-calling future President Donald Trump, and trying to get him to look like a scammer because he wasn't paying in taxes, evil rich guy, whatever. Donald Trump put the microphone up to his mouth while Hillary was mid-name calling and remarked simply, "That's because I'm smart." Half the country fell off their chairs. You could audibly hear the thuds on the ground. They couldn't understand how that could make someone smart. In their world, that would mean you were a thief and evading taxes. Remember? Paying your taxes is patriotic, which, mind you, 1773, the Boston Tea Party was a tax revolt. And we didn't have taxes largely for 150 years, really up until the Federal Reserve, especially the income tax. So anyone that tells you that just knows very little history, that it's actually patriotic to not pay taxes, and that is completely just ripped from history textbooks and what we have been taught over the last 100 years in school. All people had to do is realize that Hillary herself, those supporters of Hillary's, Trump supporters, doesn't matter, could have done the very same thing that Donald does himself. It's called the U.S. tax code, or it's called tax codes around the world. And one of the big things Donald uses is depreciation, 1031s, things like that, to defer taxes or eliminate taxes. And this is all done through the tax code. And that's something that I've done over the last 10 years as a business owner, operator, investor, real estate investor, using the tax code at work to pay as little as I can legally pay, because that is the name of the game, because then you're incentivized to go do more of those things and provide more housing for people, or go provide more jobs and employment for people. That's how the game works. So again, this is set up for everyone. Everyone could go do that. Everyone could go be a real estate investor. They could go be an entrepreneur, go create jobs and get in tax incentives. That's why when Amazon moved to New York, or was trying to, and AOC botched all that, it destroyed any chance to create billions of dollars in that economy, in that local economy, and bring jobs there. And that's why entrepreneurs and people are railing against her, because she has no idea what she's talking about. And when you are taking out the destruction of, or taking out that creation of capital, that creative destruction, you start to quickly lose your tax base, as New York has seen. All the people have left. Many people have left and gone to Florida and many southern states, etc. So again, all people had to do is start reading books and learning what he is doing, reading his books, for crying out loud, and what he is doing that is available to all of us. And the book that changed my life 12 years ago now, was his book with Robert Kiyosaki. It was Why We Want You to Be Rich. That book changed my life. And I realized, oh my gosh, it blew my mind as I left professional hockey and just as I graduated college, and started to realize wealth is available to all who pay attention and work at it. Put simply, you most choose not to put in the work. Proof of work is a world we live in. We don't live in a proof of stake world where you can just sit back and get whatever you want. We're in a proof of work world, or said another way, God is a reward-based God. He gives to those who are putting in the work and rewards people. He's not a needs-based God, meaning you don't just get things because you need them. That's not how life works. So the big thing here, and again, is that book changed my life, Why We Want You to Be Rich. That was a game changer for me. That was such a massive, eye-opening experience where I fought with teachers in school. I fought with people, professors all over the place about when are we going to learn about money, but no one understood money. When are we going to learn how to make money, how to keep money, how to invest money? And no one knew. That book, Your Assets Paying for Your Liabilities, talking about the cash flow quadrants, in what assets really were, and cash flow, leveraging cash, using cash to make more cash, all those things. Just, I knew inherently that there had to be a different way than what school is teaching us, but I just was never taught that. I didn't understand, I didn't know until reading that book. It's not a different system the rich are using. Like we said before, they don't get to use different laws. They're using the same tax code available to all of us. The only difference is they know how to take advantage of the incentives that do exist for all of us. They have taken time to study them, or they know the right people, or they grew up in the right family, right? Those people know something that the average person does not. Just like Robert Kiyosaki wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, what the poor middle class, what the rich teach their kids and the poor middle class do not. So there is an advantage to being born in the right family. However, if you're looking in the right spot, I just picked that book up at a grocery store bargain bin. I just happened to be going through the grocery store, ironically, and picked that up from the bargain bin because I knew who Donald Trump was, didn't know who Kiyosaki was at the time in 2010. And that book changed my world. Started going and reading all the books he recommended in there, learning sound money, learning about gold and silver. That eventually led me to Bitcoin. In the last 12 years of learning this process and these layers of learning business, learning investing, learning the different quadrants, learning sound money, that gives you this perspective now where you can look through the right lens to see the world instead of a socialist communist lens like we're taught in school to see everything through, like rich or evil and things like that. We got to redistribute the wealth everywhere. I look at it through a lens of I can do anything I want. I can make money at any given time. I can make money out of thin air. I can go raise money, like we've done many times, go raise money from other people and go buy real estate with it. So zero my own money. I can go make money for other people. I can go make money for myself using OPM, other people's money. And this is available to everybody. It's not that I didn't grow up like this, right? So anyone can do this. And if you put in the work and the effort and start meeting the right people, and as Bob Proctor says, go where the heavy hitters are. Hang with them, mix with them, go where the people that are successful are. The problem in this society, unfortunately, is it seems that many people want to take the proof of stake route. They want to take the route of least resistance. They want to just be handed things, which when you start making that trade, you're trading your freedom for a little security, right? As we know, Ben Franklin says, we deserve, if that's the case, then we deserve neither and shall have none, neither freedom nor security. So again, this book is an excellent book too, talking about all this. I believe he talks about Trump and Hillary in here as this example. Tom Wheelwright, one of Robert Kiyosaki's advisors, talks about tax-free wealth, doing all of this inside of real estate and businesses and how to pay little to no taxes. And it's available to everyone. And again, like I said, the secret is it's available to all of us. It's just that the top 1 to 10% are the ones who actually take advantage of what is truly available to all of us. The name of the game, in short, in this current system, is in an inflationary system, you have to buy assets. Hopefully assets that cash flow, and not just for appreciation, but actually give you cash flow monthly or quarterly or yearly. This is the game. So when we're in an inflationary world where the unproductive class are destroying your currencies, you have to buy assets to hedge that debasement, that inflation. You have to do that. Otherwise, if you save it in that currency, it's just going to get destroyed over time, as we've shown many, many times in our videos, in our essays, etc. And again, Dave Ramsey, who doesn't even encourage financial literacy, he just says, hey, call into my show and I'm going to tell you what to do. He doesn't teach people how to actually become smarter or actually do and get ahead in the current system we have. Dave Ramsey is operating in an old system. He's operating in a system. Dave doesn't know the difference between money and currency because Dave's operating with principles when you had if you had a deflationary currency, we used to have gold and silver, so that could be considered deflationary. But when we have Bitcoin, it's truly deflationary. Dave's principles would work. Ironically, those principles are going to come back around to if people make it from here to the next system, the next monetary system, which will be Bitcoin in the next 5, 10, 15 years. If you make it there, then you'll be successful. However, Dave doesn't understand in an inflationary environment, people are just saving dollars all the time, trying to save dollars. Your life gets harder and harder and harder, and life just keeps running away from you. You have too much month at the end of your money. Again, he even says he doesn't even understand financial literacy, or he doesn't teach it, and he doesn't understand the money is broken, like we just said. But even he says the biggest cause of people not having wealth at this time in this inflationary environment over the last 50 years is they choose not to invest consistently or not at all. This is true in an inflationary system where you have to keep up with that debasement or the destruction of your wealth over time by investing in assets. Those that just save fiat currencies in general become poorer and poorer each year as their purchasing power, their time and energy, their wealth, their time and energy is stolen from them by the government through inflation. It's been taken and redistributed around the world for the ruling class to put in their pet projects to pay off themselves, their family members, their buddies, etc. Or one of my favorites, to buy marketing to then propagandize you with commercials, billboards, everything, push their narratives on you that they want you to believe, whether it's ESG, whether it's getting certain medical procedures and experimental things put in your body, whether it's just for college education, just formal education, this academia that doesn't teach us really anything of a substantial of what we need to learn on a day-to-day, live on a day-to-day basis. It's just this extortion process of every single billboard down the highway is a school. Why is that the case? How is that the case? School is not for everyone, and school doesn't even teach you the everyday lessons you need in life. So what are we doing here? But yet they take our tax dollars and they turn around and propagandize you with whatever marketing messages they want through the ad council, through their own corporations that they are now in bed with, so many of them, whether it's the GMs of the world or big tech or big pharma or whatever. And again, does any of this sound familiar? Have you seen any of this in your life? You've seen these billboards of propagandizing you, telling you what to do from the government.gov, from the ad council, school billboards. It's an absolute joke. And remember, money is just a container for your time and energy. Like we mentioned, your wealth is your time and energy. That's all it is. And we have Bitcoin, a true sound money, finite, where your time and energy, your work is poured into here every day, and it can't escape this box. Cannot escape here. It's finite, only 21 million. But here in an inflationary economy, so this is deflation, a deflationary currency. If we have inflationary currencies like we have now in all of our government fiat currencies, your time and energy, your work is just poured in here all the time. But this inflation, this debasement, this currency printing, typing digits to computers, this hole in the side. It's just constantly leaking out. So you wake up every single day with less in your bucket, and you're wondering what's going on. Why do I have to keep getting up every single day and working for something that I don't care about, for someone I don't care about because they don't care about me, for something that I really don't care about, the mission? That's the difference. When you're in this world and you're saving in the hardest money to ever exist and it doesn't go away, you get wealthier over time and it accrues in value as more and more people sell out of their assets and put their premium into Bitcoin. And then eventually you can start working on God's calling, God's mission for you, a higher calling, or your passion, and start putting in real work that pushes the world forward instead of things that you don't like, which is my thesis as to why we have so many people have midlife crises, because they just do things just for the dollar, just for the paycheck, and for that love of money, and it's not what they actually want to be doing. Again, money is just a container, an economic container for your time and energy. It is the most valuable data point we have as human beings. When we make a transaction, we are signaling to the world that this product or service we are trading time and energy for is worth it. It's worth said value. But when you screw with that and you're changing interest rates all the time, and you're printing currency, it's constantly just moving, and there's no real market making. There's no price discovery. That's in the market anymore. It's gone, and you can't. That data is now corrupted. You can't use the data. The money, which is the purest form of data, now is completely corrupted, and we don't know what's happening in the real world. We don't know how to price things. It can become very tough. We must take back control of our money, and we must have a deflationary money so we can shrink the wealth gap from the top 1% to the rest of the 90%. This is 99%. This is the biggest threat I see. Not global cooling, warming, climate change, energy uses, none of that. That is all absolute propaganda that is just being fed on you by your own wealth, being just redistributed back onto you to propagandize you. The biggest thing is the inflationary fiat currencies we have that are spreading this wealth gap. Most people are never going to learn what the top 10% of people know. They don't care to, whatever it is. That gets wider, we're going to have more and more unrest. And that now makes all of our lives worse. So how do we shrink that gap? How do we get the people at the bottom 90%, 99% to start coming up this way? Is to give them a money that they can now spend less than they earn, or whatever it is they have. Now, as you start saving, now people want to save because their money is now increasing in value. So now you have capital. Instead of this inflationary world, people are just like, oh, I'm just going to spend it because it's worth less and less. Why would I keep it? So now we can actually have capital, and life standards go up and let costs come down. And again, it allows the average person to work at Goldman Sachs or McDonald's, spend less than they earn, and save the difference in finite money that accrues that purchasing power over time, like we said. If we return to a finite deflationary money, then the game is no longer rigged, and the information asymmetry is flattened. It doesn't go away technically, but it's really flattened, that curve. It will exist, but the discrepancies will be minuscule compared to what they are now. Now, insider trading, being a politician, or knowing the right people is one of the fastest ways, along with suing other people, to get rich. What an insane, unproductive world. In a real productive free market economy, it should be the people who provide the most value, who become the wealthiest, not the biggest grifters, not the biggest rent seekers. In a hyper Bitcoinized world, that will be the case. The people who provide the most value will be the wealthiest. That's how proof of work works. You will no longer be able to create currency out of thin air and steal from your citizenry to sprinkle around your pet projects if you're the unproductive class. Bitcoin presents a level playing field, not level outcomes, but a level playing field for all to prosper no matter what job they work at or what business they run or where they live in the world. And this is one of my favorite memes. I think this really sums up our culture right now. It's a guy, it's the wealthy, Rothschild guy or whatever. They've got you fighting a culture war to stop you from fighting a class war. And it's the people at the top, the Rothschild It's dynasties of banking cartels. It's the people running the Colosseum that are debasing the money, coin clipping, just like they did in the Roman Empire, melting things down, destroying the money by stealing the wealth from you. And you're in the Coliseum with your esports, with you're watching the Roman gladiators battle it out, duke it out, NFL football, whatever it is, fantasy sports, and kill each other. And they give you free bread and wine. They give you free fantasy tickets to use and free cash here because the cash is not worth anything. So they're giving you free stuff to get you hooked onto gambling and liquor. Those stores don't shut down when things get shut down 2 years ago. Those need to stay open because we need to sedate people and we need the distraction so that way the government can do what they need to do behind everyone's backs, and we need to placate, sedate the people. That way they don't rise up. Because if they knew what was truly going on, then these people right here, they'd be gone. It'd be done. It'd be lights out. And they know that. There's a reason that this constantly is happening. Hundreds, thousands of years. This happens over and over again. These societies, the unproductive class, the ruling class knows they're not dumb people. They might be evil. Some of them even think they're doing the right thing. They're well-intentioned, but they're doing things that go against the individual. They go against society as a whole. But they're doing things for the collective, good, and that's how they pass things off. Well, we're doing things for the collective good, but it's not good for the average person. It's not good for the individual. What's not good for the individual is not good for society. Red or blue is not the game. It's the state versus you. That's why I share that meme. It's one of my favorite memes. So when I was leaving Michigan State 12 years ago, and Obamacare was rammed down everyone's throats, and bailouts were happening, Occupy Wall Street and Tea Party protests were going on, the wealthy were given golden parachutes for being pawns, ruining the system, and the average person got screwed over. My eyes were really opened that we are just stringing out the little guy. The only way I found to level the playing field is to fix the money. That wrestles away power and control from the unproductive class and puts it back in the hands of the average person. That's it. That's the thing. What does it matter if I'm gaining financial freedom and I have it, and maybe my family does, but that's it. If I have to go to the gas station with a shotgun in my car, like Biff Tannen's Pleasure Paradise in Back to the Future 2, what does it matter? What does it matter? Financial freedom doesn't matter. And most people are not going to achieve financial freedom. That's something I've had to learn because it took me a long time to achieve that and achieve escape velocity and understand what was truly going on. And I know most people are not going to do that, unfortunately. However, if you fix the money, you now give everyone the ability to become wealthier over time because you've now put the purchasing power back in their favor instead of it leaking away from them their entire life. Then they can start doing that. Then they can all start gaining financial freedom over time. So as Bucky Fuller said, how can we serve the most amount of people? You serve ephemeralisms, doing more with less. How can we serve the most amount of people? Many of the daily squabbles that people have in the political realms go away because people are left alone to their own accord to live how they see fit. Again, the power is put back into the hands of the average person and taken from the unproductive class. The game is rigged against the wealthy and the poor and middle class alike right now. It's just that a small subset of society, what we call the wealthy or the rich, understand how the current system works. That's what makes them rich. They understand the system. They understand that in an inflationary world, you have to buy assets. You have to create assets. You have to create businesses and buy real estate and businesses in order to get ahead and stay ahead of deflation or inflation. That's the system. So it's available to all of us. We could all do it. However, most people won't. That's why we know we have to fix the money. We have to go from inflationary money that is really immoral to a deflationary money, which is moral. You have to make that switch. That's how you bring the bottom up. That's how you help the most amount of people. Again, this is why Bitcoiners say constantly, fix the money, fix the world. Even Jesus, in his day, overturned the money changers' tables. Why? Because the ruling class and tax collectors are the ones debasing the currency, stealing your currency, taking it from you, melting it down, putting it in base metals or clipping coins to steal the wealth of the people through inflation. He even knew that. Something that's not very talked about, and we do have some literature, some books, things I am writing and working on actually right now that'll be about this. This is going to be one of my big projects for the next year or so, writing a book about this. It's going to hopefully blow your mind. This trend continues today, and for the first time in human history, we have a permanent answer to this enduring inflation problem. Stay strong. Brandon. Thank you. Appreciate you listening in. The time, energy is the most important asset we have. It's the only finite asset we have besides Bitcoin now. Bitcoin is time and time is Bitcoin. The only comparable trade there is. Why would you trade your time for anything else other than something else that's finite? Don't trade your finite time for anything else infinite, like dollars, blades of grass, grains of sand. Trade your finite time for finite Bitcoin. It's the only acceptable trade. That's how a true investor would trade. So I appreciate it. Let me know what comments, questions, concerns you have. Please like and subscribe. Share it with anyone you think might appreciate it. If you don't like it, please dislike it. Let us know. We can do better, and put a comment in so we can provide better value, entertainment, education going forward. We appreciate you so much, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.